Vaping 101. So, what do you actually know about e-cigarettes and vaping and the harm it can cause to your body as well as your mindset?
People have been smoking for at least 7,000 years, but it wasn't until the 1800s that cigarettes became the smoke of choice, after machines were developed to mass produce them. 200 years later, in 2003, the electronic cigarette was invented in China, and since then the use of e-cigarettes, also called vaping, has grown exponentially around the world. E-cigarettes are electronic devices that vaporize a flavored liquid. They all used to look like cigarettes, but now they come in many shapes and sizes. Many look like pens or small boxes called mods. What they all have in common is 1. A power source, usually a lithium battery. 2. An atomizer, which heats the e-liquid. 3. E-liquid or e-juice, which usually contains flavors and nicotine. And 4. A cartridge or tank, which is filled with e-liquid. Heating the e-liquid creates a cloud of vapor that looks like smoke, but without a lot of the lethal components contained in tobacco smoke.
There are different types of e-cigarettes, like shown in the pictures. There's a cig-alike, which are disposables, meaning it can only be used one time, and they look a lot like cigarettes. Then there's also vape pens, which are a pen-style device which can be refilled with the juice. And then there are tank systems, which are box-like or tubular and can be refilled.
Many people assume e-cigarettes are safer than traditional cigarettes because they don't burn anything or create tar in your lungs. But it took almost 7,000 years for humans to realize that tobacco causes lung cancer, throat and mouth cancer, causes heart attacks and strokes, and damages the lungs. E-cigs, meanwhile, have only been around a little over a decade, so there just hasn't been enough time to figure out what effects they'll have on your body. We do know that e-cigarettes deliver nicotine just like the traditional cigarettes, causing increased heart rate and blood pressure. Nicotine also has powerful effects on the brain. It releases rewarding neurotransmitters in the brain, like dopamine, and changes brain chemistry. It is a stimulant, making people feel more alert, but when it goes away, people crave it even more. It can interfere with the body's own natural ability to make dopamine, and soon the user needs nicotine just to feel normal. The developing brain of teenagers is the most vulnerable to these effects. The powerful addictive nature of nicotine is so high that it's comparable to heroin and cocaine. Besides nicotine, e-cigarettes contain chemical solvents. When heated very high by some of the new e-cigarette devices, these solvents can be transformed into formaldehyde, which is a carcinogen. It causes cancer. These observations are concerning, but we really do not know what the long-term effects from inhaling these chemicals into your lungs will be. E-cigs contain many other chemicals to generate enticing flavors. In fact, there are almost 8,000 different flavors available today, so we don't know very much about many of them. We do know that some of the butter flavorings contain diacetyl, which is famous for causing popcorn lung. Popcorn lung is a disease called bronchiolitis obliterans, which is basically an irreversible scarring and destruction of the delicate lung tissue that can kill you. Strawberry and other healthy-sounding fruit flavors have been found to be cytotoxic and potentially cancer-causing as well. Vaping devices, or specifically the lithium batteries inside them, may explode unpredictably. Although uncommon, this happens frequently enough that e-cigarettes have been banned from luggage on airplanes. Unpredictable explosions have occurred in people's faces and mouths and resulted in serious injuries, including blindness. With these potential risks of e-cigarettes, the addictive nicotine, the exploding batteries, the carcinogenic liquids, why would any company want you to use them? Sales of e-cigarettes approach $8 billion per year and are increasing. The truth is, tobacco cigarettes kill about 50% of people who use them. So tobacco companies, known as Big Tobacco, need to keep recruiting young people to become addicted in order to stay in business. Here are some actual documented quotes from tobacco executives. "We don't smoke that shit, we just sell it. We reserve the right to smoke for the young, the poor, and the stupid. The base of our business is the high school student. The fragile self-image of the young person needs all the support it can get. Smoking may appear to enhance that self-image. Studies show that when people start to smoke in their teens, they become addicted and stay smokers as they grow older, even those who swear they will never become addicted. Many of the same strategies that Big Tobacco used to hook your grandparents into smoking tobacco cigarettes have simply been modified and are being used today with an e-cig in place of a tobacco cig. E-cigarettes come in candy and dessert flavors like Skittles, gummy bears, and vanilla cupcake, directly aimed at teens. Ads always show thin, beautiful people vaping. Even the strategic use of humor is being successfully used to get customers on their side. The bottom line is that we are all faced with important personal choices every day. We don't yet know everything we need to know to make informed decisions about many things, but we can resist being manipulated. Take your time when making your own personal decisions. It can make all the difference.
Why do you think youth vape? There's a lot of answers and questions on why the youth vapes and why many youth thinks it's very cool or interesting or they think it benefits them. So why do you try e-cigarettes? Usually they think it's an alternative to smoking and believe that they're actually doing something positive. Sharing e-cigarettes and spreading illnesses. So even if a person is not sick, they can spread a lot of germs by sharing an e-cigarette or like a Juul or a puff bar as multiple people are hitting it. So keep in mind that germs exist in saliva and illnesses can be spread through direct exposure to saliva. So it's recommended that e-cigarettes be cleaned for 45 seconds and everything, but at the end of the day, if you're sharing a USB-like thing and you're sucking on it to inhale and multiple people are doing the same thing, y'all will all get affected by something that one person may have. So what are the negative health effects of vaping? A lot of people are in denial and think that it causes no harm to your body, but as anything, if you abuse and use, it will cause some sort of harm. So what's in the vapor? There's flavoring, particles, metals, tobacco-specific nitrosamines, and carbonyls. So the flavor can damage the lungs. The particles can increase the risk of heart disease, lung cancer, asthma attacks, and interfere with lung function. The metals cause brain damage and cancer. The tobacco-specific nitrosamines they can cause cancer, and carbonyls are again cancer. So what about secondhand exposure to vapor? Well, it's less toxic than cigarette smoke, but more testing is needed to determine the levels of exposure that may be dangerous for some people, like children or people with asthma. Some ingredients in secondhand vapor can cause eye and throat irritation, and the flavoring chemicals can create odors that irritates people who are sensitive to smell. So basically, secondhand exposure is not as severe as firsthand, but it can affect people who have asthma and children who are more susceptible to these sort of things. So if you don't smoke, don't vape.
E-cigarettes, vape pens, Juuls. They're often marketed as safe alternatives to smoking, but their cool designs, fun flavors, and the fact that they're easy to hide means it's not only smokers who want them, it's kids. And for kids, they're definitely not safe.
Vaping as a getaway to smoking. Current research shows that youth who vape are more likely to start smoking cigarettes. So as many people believe that vaping actually steers them in the opposite direction as cigarettes, it's false. It actually makes you more likely to try cigarettes as you're more open to trying things which could harm your body.
The long-term effects of using e-cigarettes are unknown.
And because there are no standards, we don't know the ingredients in these products.
We don't want children to take unnecessary risks with their health
And begin a lifelong addiction to nicotine. Talk to your kids about e-cigarettes and how to say no to these harmful products.